International break is finally upon us, and so much happened in the world of football just before it started. We got some new kits launched. We got some exciting news. We got some controversial news as well. And of course, there was one Jonas Eidevall. We'll get into all of that in a second. Just me and Matthew here today.
But
And we're going to be talking about some fun topics. So we're going to start off with a game that we all attended live, actually. So we went down to Stamford Bridge to watch the hotly contested London derby between Arsenal and Chelsea in the Women's Super League. Massive game, a lot on the line. And it was an interesting experience, to put it lightly. If you know the score, you know why. But I guess to start off with, Matthew, let's just talk through the experience of actually going to the bridge to watch a game. So just talk us through what it was like just arriving, getting in there, and then just sort of preparing for the game, with the pre-match atmosphere and the fans and everything.
it was like visiting an old friend after many, many years. I haven't been in the bridge, just because ticket prices and this and that, and just being able to go back and watch a live football game was just such a refreshing feeling, and just reminds me why I love going back to this place so many times. The last time I went there was for a stadium tour, and that was when David Luiz was still there. So
Wow.
wow indeed. I've been meaning to go back so many times. But today was that day was the perfect opportunity, and it all comes rushing back. And you know why? For all the people that go there and they stress and they cuss the team out for whenever they lose, but they commit themselves every time. You know what? I remember. I get it. I get why people do it, because you just don't know what's going to happen. It's not like when you're watching the TV, you can duck out and go somewhere and do what you got to do. I mean, nowadays you can even pause it and record it. When you're there, you're throwing yourself into the moment. It's such a big change, and especially in the wave of technology we have today, and rather than going on the laptop or the thing or this and that, you're proper into it and you're throwing yourself in. Everyone there most of the time was just watching the game or focused on the game, what was happening. You remember, you got no commentary coming on the side. Obviously, you're watching, you're making your own opinions with your own fans, real people being there, and it gets it gets tense sometimes because you watch them. It's so different watching it on TV, because you watch and see what they're actually going to be doing. It's such a different view, and like you were saying, why are they doing this? Why are they doing that? Make that pass, make that run. It's things that it's much different when you're there watching them and saying them do it, because it's like they can hear you. They can have all these different thoughts. It was 32,000 for a women's game, which is 2/3 of a stadium anyway. And you see almost like you're right on top of it all over again. And it's not a small stadium. It's not a big stadium either, but it's not a small one. So it's you hear it all and you feel it all, and you just throw yourself into the whole thing. And there's the excitement from the build up, and then there was Sockgate as well, which made it even more interesting.
Yeah, we're going to expand on that in a bit.
But no, it was. I mean, especially we were sitting in the Arsenal end, so I couldn't celebrate too much. But just just forgetting how rowdy the away fans can be. You just forget, because obviously the last time I was in the away stand for a stadium was when we played Portsmouth in the Premier League back in 2010. I remember what we were like back then, and that was Fratton Park. And if any of you have ever been to Fratton Park, you just know. Okay, you just know. But no, it was incredible day, great game, good atmosphere. And I'd highly recommend, if you miss going to a live football match and just want to see a game, just go ahead and do it. Honestly, just go ahead and do it. Because we would, even though there was less on the line for the men's teams, we're still getting into it. We're still getting stressed. I mean, every time you got the ball, I'm just
Oh, no. Just to clarify, there wasn't less on the line. That was a potential title deciding game, because in WSL, prior to that match, Chelsea were top. There was a 1 point gap between Chelsea and Man City, who were in second, and there was a 3 point gap between Chelsea and Arsenal, who were in third. So this was a match that really could have swung the title race wide open for Arsenal and put them right back. I mean, they were in the mix. They're still not out of the mix, but it's now a 6 point gap because we got battered. But yeah, it was definitely a really important game, and one where I thought we would have gotten more from the team, and I'll just sort of get into that now. So like Matthew said, pre-match atmosphere. I think one of the things that I like, especially in the women's game, and I think this is aided by the teams being present in FIFA or now EAFC, so being able to play with these players and being able to know their names and kind of get a feel for what they can do on the pitch. It's kind of helped. Obviously, England in the Euros as well. I think all these things are coming together to kind of help propel the women's game into the mainstream, which is great. And obviously there's differences between the men's game and women's game. And, you know, when you watch it, there's things you notice. And I think in this match in particular, I know how good Chelsea women are, and they're a really good team. But I was very disappointed by Arsenal's approach to the game. And I know the manager said post-match that the sock situation wasn't the cause, but I do think it was a big factor. So basically what I've learned now has happened is that when you, it's in the Premier League as well, but in WSL in particular, when it's time for your fixtures, you get to submit what kit you're going to use on an automated system, computer system. Now, and then the general rule in FIFA, both for men's, women's, youth, whatever, is that two teams cannot wear the same coloured sock. And the main reason why is it's hard for the referees and the assistant referees on the sidelines to detect where the balls come off, like who had the last touch. So that's why they have to wear different coloured socks, because there were games a few years back where players gained advantages when they shouldn't have, like teams got a corner which led to a goal when it was actually supposed to be a goal kick. So that's what changed that. And also then decisions like penalties not given because they couldn't quite see who got the touch on the ball when actually it was not the offensive team, it was the defending team. So that's why they did that. Arsenal turned up in our home kit, which is red shirt, red and white shirt, white shorts, white socks. Chelsea's home kit, blue shirts, blue shorts, white socks. Can't happen. So there was about I think a half an hour to 45-minute delay where Arsenal went and bought the socks from the Chelsea club, Chelsea shop. We bought our socks from the Chelsea. So we were wearing Chelsea. Guys, you have to deep this. This is a derby. This is a top of the table clash. This is a winner, puts them in a good position to get the league. And we end up wearing our rival socks. Cool. We go and buy some black and blue socks for Chelsea. We put them on. And then the game began. And I think for like the first 5 or 6 minutes, Arsenal looked okay. We were good passing football, good movement, get to the byline, and then the cutbacks were stopped by Chelsea. Chelsea had one attack. Arsenal's defense was a shambles. They struggled to deal with the ball. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. That's the first attack, but we get the ball back. We're looking good. Then they break away. Ball gets, and then this is the part which I found really interesting, and it was kind of endemic of the whole match. I'm calling it the Moses syndrome. Chelsea get the ball at the back. They play the ball out from the back into midfield. Arsenal's midfield was nowhere to be seen. The ball was immediately now with Lauren James, and she's running at the back line. And as all good backlines, what did Arsenal's do? We were moonwalking on the pitch. Now, I think Megan Thee Stallion and Cardi B were very proud of the Arsenal team's movement because it was a lot of movement backwards and not a lot of movement forwards. It was very, very, very poor. And she just kept running and running and running, got into the box, and the defenders seemed to slow her down a bit. But Lauren James did a little shake and bake, showed left, went right, had a look, saw who was in goal and thought, I'll have a go. It's Zinsberger. She shoots. Now, we see Zinsberger dive to her right and push the ball up. Now, me and Matthew Craig in the stadium at the time, we're looking thinking, okay, it's an interesting choice of save. That ball is gone all the way up in the air. It must be going over the bar, guys. It must be going over the bar. It went up. It came back down. Right in the goal. 1-0 to Lauren James. She changed her hairstyle as well. She had the plait braid style hair, and she did a nice knee side celebration with the gun thing. Disappointed, to put it lightly. But Matthew, after that goal, what else did we notice with the Arsenal defence?
There was no fight. There was no desire. There was no, if there was a plan, I don't know if it's kind of executed. The worst thing you can do as, when I'm watching my defence, and when you, especially because they were playing quite high, hence why they're coming so far back. The worst thing you can do is not just when they're coming back, is when they're coming back so quickly as well. Because you're thinking, damn, I've got to think, okay, what this attacker's going to do. And even if it's just the one, you've still got others coming down the other side, and that's before, say, like a Lauren James, you feel the confidence to do a little shimmy and do what they got to do. It's scary. It's scary sometimes to watch them come back. It's just, in such a high-profile game, you expect it to be a little bit tighter. So I was kind of surprised to see the shock when you were just coming so far back so quickly and just so nervous. The worst thing you do with an attacker is just allow them that space to keep on going. Because that's what they thrive on. It's that space. Lauren James, loves playing in those kind of spaces because she knows she has that one thing that defenders hate: pace. She's so quick. And, on the TV, it looks like one thing. But again, live, it's so different watching because she moves so fast. And she was feeling herself.
She had the Arsenal defence on toast. Every time Chelsea got the ball, like I said, it was like Moses came back, had his staff up, and then there was just like gap and just run at the back line, run through. It was, to me, it's one of the saddest matches I've watched live. I've watched Arsenal lose to Swansea live. It was not a great game. My head almost exploded. I've watched Arsenal women lose in the Champions League last season. That was also not a good game. And the interesting thing between that game and this game is that there was a common denominator. But I don't want to pick on the goalkeeper, but I noticed a lot of similar mistakes in that match and this match. But I think for me, one of the things we know from watching our clubs, one of the things we understand from young, when you're playing in an important match, especially against your rivals, you need to compete.
Yeah.
You need to compete. It doesn't matter how much better they are than you. It doesn't matter whether you've been off form. You have to compete. You can't lose your duels. You can't lose through first ball, second ball. Chelsea got first, second, and third ball. There was no pressure from Arsenal. Nothing. We dropped off. And then, it's a shame for me because one of the players that has had a really great season and a player that I really do rate very highly is Katie McCabe for Arsenal. I don't think she pulled off no more than maybe 10 accurate passes all match. Every time she went to cross the ball, it was into the keeper's hands. When she had a chance to play little through balls around the corner, it was overcooked and out of play or it was just, I've not seen her play that bad before. Beth Mead was invisible. Leah Williamson for the second goal got sent on the merry dance. Couldn't find where the player was and lost her.
Still come back from injuries.
I just think the whole team, even Lotte Ruben-Moy, who was exceptional in the game against Tottenham, the last match I was there at the Emirates a few weeks ago, looked lost. They all looked shell-shocked. Blackstenius, who always scores, just didn't get the ball. When Russo came on, she gave a lot and she was a bit of better fight, but the quality of the pass wasn't there.
Getting in the right places because she was making the runs.
Yeah.
So you almost doing the right thing. It was just kind of find me, I'm right here.
The final ball was lacking and execution of everything was lacking. And it was just, to me, it was just one of those matches where you can have bad performances, you can lose games. You don't lose like that. We had nothing. I know the final score was 3-1. Thank God we scored a goal. But I've not seen I've not seen my team, men or women, put up such a poor excuse for performance in a game of this magnitude. It felt worse than when the men played Man City last season at the Etihad. And in fact, it was very similar in many respects, just not as poor as Partey was in that match is equivalent to how poor the midfield was. Leah Volti, who's normally a lot better than that, she just couldn't keep up with what was going on around her. The captain, Kim Little, she tried, but she just seemed overrun. I could go through the whole team. It was just, I can't pick out anyone who had I think no one had a good game. I don't think anyone had a performance above 5. I think they were all poor to different degrees. Some of them was disgracefully poor, but, the manager has taken responsibility for it. But for me, it's it's not the first match we've struggled in our build-up play. It's not the first match we've struggled to really impose ourselves on matches. And I think it's the thing that he will need to look back on because this season has been, we've got the Conti Cup coming up against you guys.
Yep.
In Aston Villa in a week's time on Sunday. So that's a big opportunity for them to, get some silverware for this season. But if that doesn't work out, then this will be a trophyless season, which started off with a very... And there's context behind the Champions League qualifier in the summer because the season ended, you had internationals and it was straight into qualifiers. So there wasn't really much of a break for the players. But we got knocked out in qualifying. Very, very poor performances. In the game that knocked us out, it was just not good enough. We were poor in the away leg, poor in the home leg. FA Cup. It's just been a really bad season. and it's a season that there's still, it's not over, so that it could still, like, Chelsea could capitulate. It's very unlikely. It's Emma Hayes' last year at Chelsea, so it's unlikely that they will capitulate. But they could still turn it around. But for me, I'm just like, that performance was just so poor, And I mean, it's just one of those things you don't want to see. But I guess on the final note from the game, Matthew, I think, being there live, obviously we've said that it's so different from being, watching on TV atmosphere. And, shout out to all the Arsenal fans that came, because we brought the atmosphere. I didn't hear these lot until they scored. The only time I heard them pre-game was when they were doing some little dancing thing. And then guess what? The Arsenal fans started chanting. It took over the whole stadium. Just saying. We know how to make noise. A couple of guys were there. I know they're from the men's team. They were probably giving it large. It was amazing.
It was good fun. Good fun.
But yeah, I guess for you, Matthew, when you think about not just matches like this, but just in general, like, we think a lot about football and how you want to increase access to people. Like, how important is it that you have games like this, this high intensity match, and like the pricing on the tickets was really affordable in being able to kind of increase access to football to other fans who may not get a chance to see their team week in, week out?
I think, you go back to when the Lionesses won a couple of years ago, and you kind of owe it to all like younger generations, generations that may not feel they have access to sort of things. You owe them to expose them kind of things, because that's where it all starts. It's the numbers. Safe to say that 2, 3, 4 years ago, the WSL was not in this kind of shape. They weren't playing at Stamford Bridge. They weren't playing at the Emirates. They weren't playing at Old Trafford and getting like not just 15, 20,000. This was over 30,000. You're pulling in like record numbers. So you owe it a little bit for them to kind of like, remember, this was people's livelihood at one point. Going on the weekend to watch their team play, whoever it was, rain or shine. I work at QPR sometimes. It's the exact same thing. Sellout crowds, nigh on half the time. Even when the team's doing bad, they come by and they watch, just for a little bit of hope, just to forget about the week and just throw themselves into something. But they love, and with the way things are going right now, the prices of everything, this is like the best opportunity for it, because it's almost a win-win. You're getting a live football match, plus it's how much was our ticket again? It was like
about 16, 17?
16, 17 pounds for a league match, a high-profile league match against two high-profile teams. That's an absolute win-win, and you base it off the fact that the glory they had. When you win, it trickles all down. It comes back and comes back. You only have to look at the cricket a few years ago when they won the World Cup. The things why we had the 100, or I went to the 100 last year. Now, anyone that knows cricket, or especially a test match, you're talking upwards of £80. That's for one day. And you do 5 days. That's poor for when you put your food in your mouth. We did last year. I did 100, which was like a fraction of the price, and you're still getting the cricket match, seeing all these stars. When they win, you owe it to the people to give back and allow them to come back in and watch these sort of things, to remind them of why you love football in the first place, of why you love watching live sports in the first place. And I want to go back again. If it's the same thing, I want to go back again. I'll go Kings Meadow if I have to. I'll watch another one. I don't care. It was just good to see like a live game, and it's good to see that there is another way in for people that don't exactly have that much expendable cash going here, there, and everywhere. So, but if this is a way to do it through WSL, I am all for it. I'll go to Man United. I'll go Emirates. I'll go Spuds. I'll go.
Ooh, I don't know about that. Spuds. Nah, mate.
I'll go there just to do that fancy beer thing, and then that's that.
Couldn't pay me to go. Could not pay me to watch Tottenham. Unless it's Tottenham Arsenal, then I'll do it.
I'll do that, yeah. Tottenham Arsenal, Tottenham Chelsea, I'm there.
But Tottenham. Yeah, I'd rather just not bother. I'd rather just stay at home than waste my time. And I mean that. But switching over from the women's game, we had the FA Cup weekend this weekend. We also had some Premier League matches as well. And, speaking of Tottenham, they got battered by Fulham.
That's it.
Tottenham get battered everywhere they go. Get to know that song. We're singing that song a lot over the next couple of years. But yeah, let's start with the FA Cup. Obviously, big games were on the agenda for the weekend. It was the quarterfinals. We had Wolves, Coventry, Man City, Newcastle, Chelsea, Leicester, and Man United, Liverpool. Now, Man United, Liverpool, massive game. A lot was at stake there. it did feel a lot pre-game like that might be the match that could determine Erik ten Hag's future. Obviously, it's another game in the Jurgen Klopp farewell tour. As Liverpool players had been saying themselves, we want to win all the trophies for him. They already got one so far. They were on track for a historic quadruple. On track, but up stepped Diallo to puncture that balloon and bring them crashing back down to earth. Talk me through your thoughts on that match.
Proper Sunday slobber knocker, end of the weekend, it had a feeling of Super Sunday about all of it because it was just end-to-end stuff, entertaining, a lot to ride on the line, both for both managers, for both sakes. And genuinely, this was going to be a one where it's going to be deciding so many things. Are they going to get quadruple? Is Ten Hag going to survive like another year? And just seeing like when they played, when they started, it had a different kind of feel to it. It wasn't like a Premier League game. If it was a Premier League, you have to remember, it wasn't that long ago that they got battered 7-0 at home. Liverpool battered them 7-0. This game had a bit of a different feeling to it because this is the cup. And Man United, for as terrible as they are, the one thing they're good at is a cup. They won the Carabao last year and they're in the semis again this year. So the one thing they know is a cup. As a team, if you can't do it in the league, you do it in the cup. You got to find some glory somehow. Take them from us. We're a cup. We're a tournament team. We are a tournament team. So from when he started, we saw Man United playing, it was just watching the game and just watching the build-up. I'm just kind of thinking, what if I was there as a fan thinking there was something different about this game? There was something different about the crowd. Like there was some kind of really funny expectation that there's something different going to happen. And it shows because it was the only game that went to extra time. And at one point you're expecting to go to penalties until right in the death, you see them score that last goal. And I saw a video of Gary Neville going absolutely berserk, like that scream he did for the Champions League final. Loving it. Whether I love to see it, I don't know. But he was loving it. But it just felt different. Rashford turn up. McTominay gets another goal. And when watching it again, with Liverpool coming back in a very quick turnaround, you're expecting like, here we go. But they didn't go for that kill, which is like, hang on. They're not doing what they normally do, which is properly like going for it. And they had the players to do it. And all Man United needed was another opener, McSaucy. And then it just kind of set the tone for the game. And they just kept on coming back, which is like, and you know what? I saw Mason Mount. He played.
Been out for a long time. There's people questioning what injury did he have? Was it an injury? Was it something else? But either way, he's been off. He came back, which is good. I mean, for Liverpool, like to go 2-1 up and then to get pegged back in the 87th minute from Anthony as an equaliser, and then to go ahead through Elliott and then Rashford and Diallo to kind of close the game out. I mean, I know they had a lot of chances as well to finish the game off with. Gakpo had quite a few. In fact, Jamie Carragher tweeted that he felt like Gakpo was playing in slow motion, which I thought was just a crazy thing for him to say, considering his affiliation to Liverpool. I think that's just a mad statement to make, even if it is true. But do you think that their poor finishing up front, and of course the injuries they've had, do you think that might have some weight in the title race going forward?
I already said I think Liverpool are going to finish third this season. I think it's going to be too much for them. They're fighting on so many fronts. A lot of these, they're carrying.
Well, it's just two fronts now.
Well, two fronts now. You can argue at the Carabao Cup they expended so much to get through. I mean, I know they're still playing in the system, but they know very, very well. But like at the end of the day, it's almost like they're burning out. It was only a couple of years ago they did that in the previous season, winning 2 out of 4, and. Yeah, in terms of a table, I mean, all of you guys have still got very tough games going up, very, very tough games going up. But just think with the holes that they have all around the team, your squads and City squads at the moment is at its strongest. Whoever you think is the strongest between the two is, well, it's up to the people, I suppose. But I just think they're gonna. I'm not saying they're gonna finish far out of the top two, but I do see them being the slight weak link because I can spot a few more holes like here and there and everywhere, and I think they're going to let the occasion of Klopp's farewell tour take over a little bit because they're playing as much for that as they are playing for trophies and things like that. We'd lovely to see him. It would be great for them to see him win all these kind of trophies, but at the end of the day, you are only human, and he's you know how football moves. He's going to get replaced. He's going to move on. You know, the new season will come around and be like a whole new, brand new thing. So it's going to be a case of player burnout and injuries. It's going to really going to cost them, and which is something that you two don't have. Your managers are going to be there regardless, whereas him ain't going to be there. And we've already said in our previous episodes, he's going to be a massive hole to fill. So they're going to be. It's like they're kind of playing on emotion as well a little bit until he goes, where you're going to see like a whole different kind. You're not going to get the same as him. Whoever you replace is not going to be the same. It's like a whole different identity. So they're going to have to watch their back a little bit on this one. They're really going to have to watch their back.
Yeah, it's going to be a massive job for them to do. I think the only good news to them off the pitch, they've got Michael Edwards back, who was pivotal in their successful period. So he's going to be back helping with recruitment and strategy behind that. So I think they will be in good hands. And I think it's a positive move in the post-Jurgen Klopp era for Liverpool. But yeah, it's a disappointing end for that match. And of course, like I said, they really wanted to send him out on a high. They really wanted to push for 4 trophies. They've got 3 left. Well, 2 more left to go for, and which will make it 3 in total, including the Carabao they won earlier in the year. But yeah, I think it's a great news for Man United as well. I think it does take that pressure off the back of them. Do you think he needs to bring that trophy home now to kind of settle everything?
Well, it worked for Arteta. I reckon it might work for him because it's going up in stages. The Carabao Cup was the start. The FA Cup could be next. Plus, they got to the final last year. Let's try and do one better than last year. You know, they scored first after all, but we all know City will come back and do their thing. It might restore a little bit of faith in him if he's able to do that. It's amazing what a tournament can do for your job, even if in the table it's not exactly kind of working out. Plus, he's got players in there who know how to win in the tournament anyway. So this will give him... I don't think they're going to have the faith in him like I do for you and Arteta. Even if he does win, he's still got a season to save himself.
As if they keep them. And there's rumours going around that Sir Jim Ratcliffe is looking at England manager as his replacement, Gareth Southgate. I am fully in support of that. In fact, I think you should snap him up now. Don't even wait for the Euros to happen. Let's just get him in at Old Trafford right now, like today, so he can kind of bed himself in, end the season with him, see how he feels. You know, just let's do it. I think it'll be an amazing move. You know, it'll be an amazing move for the whole league, except for Man United. I think obviously you might not. You know, it might be a bit of a rough one, but yeah, I mean, we'll see what comes of it. Obviously, there's plenty of people that they might look to get. People that are going to be available. I mean, who knows? They may make a cheeky bid for Klopp. I'm not saying he would do it, but hey, why not? Give it a go. Or you can spin the block on Jose again. Who knows? 3rd time the charm.
Jose's going to England
national team. You think?
I want him to just cause.
We'll see what happens with Jose next. But speaking of Jose's beloved former club, the Blues, Chelsea, hard fought win. Leicester made you work for it. It was a wonderful goal by Steffi Mavridis. Great run, curled it in. I thought that was going to change the match, but your boys stepped up. How happy are you about that result?
I'm happier. I was happier than when it was after they scored that second goal because I just had shades of... It reminded me of the Arsenal game. We were cruising, really cruising, and it was an error, and then not long after that, they got their second goal because it was an error by Disasi, who's playing NFL with Robert Sanchez, who doesn't like big kicks.
That kickback was ridiculous.
It was a bad kickback, and they're both responsible, but there's no reason for him to be that far off his line. That casualness, that game against Arsenal, the
same thing.
Carbon copy. You got 2 cash, and then Declan Rice, boop, and I was just getting flashbacks. And lo and behold, I was right. Second goal's coming. Great goal, by the way. Great goal. Nothing he can do. And I was like, dang, this has got shades, and I'm sweating a little bit. Then Poch does what he should, and way earlier in the game, he takes off Sterling, gets on our 2 young guns, plays a lovely little 1-2 with Cole Palmer, we get that. Then he scores the second stunner as well, and I'm breathing, but I'm just thinking, good, but this win could have been just so much easier than it needed to be. Take nothing away from Leicester, they're Premier League ready, they're practically a Premier League team already, and when they come back, they're going to be absolutely fine. You've got players there who know the Premier League, plus a few older pros, like the likes of Winks, whether Vardy's still there, Iheanacho. They got a good squad. The brother that scored the goal, they got a good squad. But happy to get to another semi-final. City, I'm not overly worried, which is strange to think. I think they are there. I think we can have them. I think we can do to them what you did to them a few years ago and get into the semi-final, where everyone had for you to be battered, and then Aubameyang stepped up and took them to the sword. I think it's going to be a case of one of those. It's a neutral ground, so it could be all different. I think there's a sneaky thing for us to take them. As long as Sterling don't. Well, no, Sterling should start that game because that's the game he actually plays good. So I'm having him there. But other than that, after the final, no way.
Yeah. It's an interesting situation, and we'll see how it goes. I mean, I was trying to see if I could find a quote, but I can't quite find it right now. Actually, yeah, I have found it. So we're going to talk about Raheem Sterling. I think he's definitely had a mixed bag at his time at Chelsea. There was a comment left by a Chelsea fan on his post where he apologised for his performance in the FA Cup match against Leicester City. This Chelsea fan, he said, "Raheem, thanks for the post. Being honest, it's not just the penalty miss. We are struggling to connect with you. I mean this with the greatest of respect. I don't feel like you're setting a good example for the youngsters, not passing square for clear goal-scoring opportunities and taking the pen and the free kicks off Cole Palmer today. Thanks for writing to us, but I feel like on your wages, you should be setting a better example and be a role model." And I do feel like that there is this kind of narrative around him in how he's playing, and that he's not necessarily living up to the reputation that he should live up to. And, based on the wages he gets paid and some of that stuff. And obviously, there's a lot of context is missing about what Sterling does with his money. And there actually is an article here, just some kind of clarification. So talking about what Raheem Sterling does with his money. So he is handsomely rewarded financially, but he does fund 30 photographic and art scholarships. He sent 14 other additional students to King's College London and Manchester University. He supports the NSPCC, and he provides, for his money, hot meals at a food bank and kitchen in Brent. And not only that, when he was at he's also given away 1,500 books to children across London and Manchester. He's helped fund a safe space for scared youngsters in Manchester. And when Chelsea played City, he set aside some time to be interviewed by two aspiring reporters from his own broadcast academy. So he does a lot with his money, contrary to what people might think. And I do think with Sterling, the money aspect should not come into it, because I think that's something that's been labelled at him throughout his career, and it's been unfair. From when he left Liverpool, they said it was about money. I don't think money is a fair argument, but we can talk about his performance. And for you as a Chelsea fan, how do you feel about his performances and this perception of him being a bit selfish with what he does?
They're not consistent enough. They're just not. It's not what you expect him from coming from City after all that training, his best career spell at Man City. After all that, he's going to bring some of that kind of mentality and knowledge, and the key word I think for such a young team, discipline. You kind of expect him, because he was there for that long, to bring it over. And it just hasn't presented itself quite enough. For every good game he has, like the game against City at the Etihad not long ago, you get stinkers like this, where he takes a penalty off of Cole Palmer. He has that free kick that got sent all the way to Clapham. The ball probably hasn't fallen down yet. And it's just, yeah, fine, okay, cool. You can talk about the money, but you can talk about that for any player, really. They don't relate into the same thing. So I don't get why the money got mentioned, like you said. But as a general, as a Premier League, not as a Chelsea general, but a football general, a Premier League general, the example is there where it should be led. It's not enough to be doing it in certain games. And we've had this problem when he was playing in England, where he should have made a pass that little bit earlier, a little bit quicker. Just the extra. With him, it's always a little bit extra. The extra this, the extra that, where he's just not needed, where he could have made the passes so much earlier. I think it was, can't remember which game it was where he did that. And, luckily with Newcastle, it was a Newcastle game where we were practically almost one-on-one with the keeper. If he squares it to Cole Palmer, it's another goal. Stuff like that always rings in the back of our head. Then there's a performance against Leicester, the awful penalty. And again, that awful free kick. And just kind of, it feels like he's Is he, whether he's trying to prove a point to himself, or if he's trying to win over the fans and get that connection that clearly isn't there very strong? Is he like proving something to himself? Because he's not a young man anymore. He's nearing his 30s. His time with the England squad will slowly be slowing down to the point he's not even getting picked anymore.
I don't think he should be out of the England squad though, because he's still one of our better players.
On his
and
day,
he consistently performs in tournaments.
If Maguire can do it, if Henderson can do it, and if Phillips can do it, on that logic, he should be getting picked on that merit. But like, yeah, it's amazing how Cole Palmer has come over, who hasn't been playing as much, and if anything, like proper shows off the qualities that you want from your Premier League pro. You think what Palmer's doing, you kind of expect Sterling to be doing, not what Palmer's doing. You expect Cole Palmer to make a mistake here or there, but he's come over and he's matured into the team. He's established himself very much as our best player in the league so far. It's a strange little contrast. They've both come from the same team, so it's a strange one, because you don't become. We've said this multiple times. I know Craig said this, but you don't become rubbish overnight. You don't become rubbish overnight. So I don't know what it's. I don't know what he's trying to prove here. I don't know what is about his game, but he's got to find some kind of link and connection with the fans and to where he slots in the team. Otherwise, he might as well leave it up to the youngsters. It can't be a case where he comes off and we get better and go and win the game.
Well, let's go through some of his stats for the last couple of seasons, because I think it's interesting when you look at the numbers, actually. It does paint a slightly different picture. So currently this season in the Premier League, he's played 25 matches, scored 6 goals and had 3 assists. Last season, he played 28 matches for Chelsea, 6 goals, 3 assists. So he's already actually equaled his tally for last season in the last game. So he's still got time to get that into 10 and 6. So he's still got time to get 10 goals in the league. In the cup so far, he's got 1 goal, 1 assist. Last year, he got no goals, no assists for Chelsea in the EFL Cup. And Champions League in last season, he got 9 matches, he got 3 goals. For Man City, in his last season, he played 30 matches, got 15 in the league, 5 assists. Champions League, he got 12 matches, he got 3 goals. And then in the cup, he played 2 games, didn't score, and he got 1 assist. So we do that. So to be honest, numbers wise, obviously there's a drop off in goals because he got 13 goals out of 30 matches and he's on 25 matches so far and he's got 6. He could get that. It's not insurmountable, but his stats from last year, it's the same numbers. So realistically, he's actually not having a bad season in terms of performance from last season. The issue is, this is a guy who in one season at Man City got 20 goals and 1 assist. And it's just, is that guy going to resurface? And I don't think his game has really changed that much. I think at Chelsea, you've had a lot of turmoil and upheaval because it's not really been clear what the strategy is from the boardroom level. You've chopped and changed managers a couple of times. So it's very hard to get consistency there. And again, when you look at your players around him, you've got players like Enzo who has stunk out the joint this season and they don't really seem to hear much said about him. You don't really have a fixed striker. You keep flicking and flittering between players and options. Obviously, Nkunku's out injured again, but you keep changing around there. You don't have a settled 11. So as much as Rashford's been, and this is way below the standards he would set himself. Sorry, not Rashford, Raheem. Sterling has been way below the standards he set himself. It's reflective of your squad as a whole. So yes, he needs to step up more, but Chelsea as a whole needs to step up more. And I think this tournament represents opportunity for you to, you go into Wembley to do something special.
He could turn up.
I think he will take, but he always turns up when he comes to Wembley.
Wembley, and the fact that it's against his old team. And the 2 of his best games this season were against Man City. Yeah. So there's a chance for a bit of redemption.
I think he'll do it. I think he'll definitely perform. And I think he knows that, he knows his performances haven't been what he would want. I think that's the key thing. There's some players that play bad and don't really care much and think it's okay. But with Raheem Sterling, he knows that. I think it's because I'm thinking Rashford, because sometimes his performance has been bad. But even when you think about both of them, Rashford and Raheem Sterling, they're 2 players that are highly criticised, 2 players that are highly talented and capable, very important for their clubs. And maybe sometimes with both of them, the numbers don't reflect the reaction of fans. Like their numbers are actually better than what you would think considering the criticism, but for both players they can do so much more, and I think that's what adds to the criticism they both receive. So yeah, we'll see what Raheem and what Markus can do. Obviously, big games are going to come up. You know, you have Man City. You think you're going to do it and make the final?
I think we can. I think we can because we've proven in twice this season that we've almost had their number, and arguably should have had their number. And I just think we have this thing where we make them just look that little bit more vulnerable, because I don't think Pep knows what he gets when he plays against us. Hell, we don't even know what we get when we play when we play ourselves. And you know, the feeling of the unknown is there. But I think the desperation. If you think the desperation was there for the Carabao, it's gonna be there way more for the FA Cup. I feel it. I really do.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting one, and we'll see how it all pans out when the games come around. Obviously, it was a massive, nice, historic win for Coventry City against Wolverhampton Wanderers, beating the Premier League team, making it into the Carabao, the FA Cup even, semi-finals. They got a massive game against Man United. I know you said off camera that you want Coventry in the final. Do you think they will be able to do it? Or do you think Man United, with everything at stake, will be able to hold their nerve and get over the line?
Realistically, there's going to be a Manchester club in the final. We just don't know which one. But they don't expect them not to give a go. They got to Wembley last year. They lost. So, you know, it's amazing what a bit of redemption. And the magic of the FA Cup, which is very much still always there, it's amazing to see what it can do, because they're very much the underdog in this whole setup. They're very much the underdog. So you never know. You might get... I was talking to someone else the other day. It could be a Wigan situation all over again.
It's true.
It could be a Wigan. I'm saying this week could be a Chelsea-Coventry final. There's no guarantee we're going to win.
I would be dreading it if you got Coventry. Because, I mean, last year, like I said, in the playoff final, they made it. Luton beat them out in the end. But they played really well. And it's but for some poor finishing that sort of let them down in the end. But that was actually a brilliant game. I really enjoyed watching that playoff final, and I'm really happy for Luton. And in fact, Luton, how they are in the Premier League, it justified how they came up. We've got other teams who stormed the Championship, and when it came to the Premier League, they can't quite figure out what to do. Burnley. But I'm really happy that Luton done well, and obviously Coventry would have that experience of knowing about the Wembley pitch, the size of it, what that does for you, the emotion of the occasion. They'll channel all of that, and I think they really will give a tough game. They'll make it a tough match for Manchester United.
I'll say, you know, in the Championship, they're on the right side, very much in the mix of the playoffs. So they're having a banger of a season right now, cracking season.
So it could end really victorious for them, but we'll see how they pull it all together and what they do. Do you have a hot take this week?
That was it. Coventry making the FA Cup final.
I don't know if that's a hot take, though.
Yeah, we don't expect them to be. Maybe them winning it. Maybe them winning it. Could be a Wigan.
Could be a Wigan indeed. But we'll see. There's been a lot of talk about football kits and nostalgia this week as well. As international break, Nike and Adidas have released some of their new kits for the upcoming summer tournaments. And I have to say, Adidas have been winning on the boot wars recently. I think Nike might be slowly creeping back into contention. The England kit, France kit, chef's kiss. The Norway kit, dead on arrival. The home kit in particular is trash. I'm sorry, Nike. You got to do better. The away kit, yeah, I like that. Home kit, terrible. I know they've mentioned they're going to relaunch Brazil's classic World Cup 98 kit. That's going to come back soon. In fact, I think actually someone said this online, and I actually agree with them. I think that it's going to be the anniversary of the World Cup coming up soon. I think that season they should just allow fans to choose which iconic kit they want to relaunch across every nation and just bring those kits back rather than go for new designs, because some of the new designs, as we've said, are trash. And some of the older designs from the 90s, the 80s, the 70s, the 60s are amazing. So I think they should focus on doing that. Because it will go a long way to helping things out. Obviously, with that, England, like I said, have a new kit, and it's expensive. We're talking about £80 for the standard fan version, almost 130 quid for the player wearing version. And I have to say, like, considering where we are right now, as you know, in the world with how things have been financially after the lockdown and all the things that came with it, it's ludicrous that kits are being. You know, you're thinking about families that are going to want to or need to buy these kits for their children. and the amount they're going to have to shell out to get the kits, unless they go through other sources and they can find them a bit cheaper. But Matthew, what do you think about the pricing of these kits, considering how great they look? Why are they so expensive?
That is unreal. And it's just another example of just pricing out everyday fans for people that I probably don't even have that much involvement in the game. And it's as much as, you talk about the gift and the curse of modern football. The gift is things like the WSL women's football has come on leaps and bounds, taking it way more seriously. It's getting the exposure it deserves. Well done to them. It's going from strength to strength. But on the flip side, on the other side, on way to like league games and even to the point of shirts and things like that, you're pricing out so many people for what it means, like so much. My only conclusion is they're trying to appeal to a certain fan that's only gonna give them more money and more money and more money, because that's how these things most of the time they're run now. They're trying to appeal to a different clientele. Look at the owners you have in the Premier League and other leagues around the world. They're, and this is no shade on them, but by bringing them in, by bringing those kind of people, yes, they can provide the money, but they don't get the game. They don't get the game and what it means to, the people, the beautiful game, what it means like to us. I remember when you could buy, our shirt for us, and there was like, at most, 30, 40 quid? I was buying a Chelsea shirt on the regular up until like recently when they were bought for me. I can't justify paying 80 quid for a shirt that size. And especially, when, the league performances aren't going as where you want it to. I can't justify, in a tournament, let's say we only get to the quarterfinal and I got Jordan Henderson on my back spending 130 quid. Are you mad? Are you for real? Like, again, as well, £80 is bad enough, but for 50 quid more for, sometimes some of these has-been players, no offense, but it's just, it's astronomical. And you worry for where, like, the state of the game that is going forward and what the fans are supposed to do. The fans that really care, the fans that have been through, the struggles. Those fans who probably went to 2008 with the Wally and Brolly, to fast forward nearly 20 years to find that after all this, flying around watching this team, all these players getting to near misses and finals and stuff like that, to then be told your shirt is going to be more than nearly about 90 quid. That's an insult. And it's just, it just robs it of its fun and its spirit and its soul and its heart and its passion. The things that, that might have no monetary value in a sport, but that mean everything. Everything. And you take that away, you have nothing. You just have a businessman's plaything and not something that was for the people.
I think that's where we'll leave it for this week's episode. Thanks for listening. Let us know your thoughts on all things football. Do you think Chelsea win the FA Cup? Do Man United have a chance? Will Coventry cause an upset? Or is it all Man City's to play for? And what are your thoughts on the new international kits? Are you happy with them? Are you upset with them? Are you going to complain about the new St. George's flag on the back? Or are you not bothered and don't care about England anyway? This is us signing up. And big up Kate Middleton. We can't wait to see you back in public properly. And have a great rest of the day.
Peace.